Hi, good afternoon. This is Meredith Lego, and my whole YouTube channel is on Ascension Science. And a lot of the content that I'm bringing forward are teachings about how to expand consciousness that I've been able to channel from extra dimensional beings. So, the primary beings that I've connected with the most has been an ascended master named Hilarion and a collective consciousness that doesn't necessarily have a name itself, but I've been able to learn a lot from as well. From time to time, I can also connect with other beings as well, but those are the two primary groups, I guess you could say. And in this particular video, I'm going to talk about self-healing. And this has been referenced in several videos in the past, but it is what I found along my journey of understanding the expansion of consciousness and how that can take form within the human body is that really is the crux of of what it is that we would need to focus on or want to focus on in order to help our journey. So in this particular session, I'm going to share with you some channeling that I did with Ascended Master Hilarion. And again, the topic is self-healing. So he basically started by saying that healing collapses timelines by recoding or changing the old experience in parallel experience. Healing processes start when you are first triggered emotionally. It is so easy to deflect those feelings by blaming everyone or everything around you as the cause for your suffering. However, those who take ownership for their emotions and seek the root cause can heal themselves, the past, and collapse timelines. So I'm going to pause right there and just reflect upon that paragraph. There's been a couple of videos that I've done, and we'll try and include them in the comments section, that kind of reiterate this particular concept. But essentially, when you have the ability to heal within yourself, you have the ability to actually kind of dislodge what can be gunky, trapped energy frequencies that can build up within your multiple four body types. So your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, and your etheric body. And essentially, when let's say emotions that are associated with like grief or pain or depression or any of those types of feelings, when that happens, they essentially can create a frequency that tends to be usually lower than the normal operating frequency of your physical body and in many cases the organs within your body. And it's oftentimes the emotional feelings that we have that we don't necessarily work on clearing or go through periods of forgiveness or whatever the case may be, that causes a majority of the physical diseases that we see play out in humanity today. So most of the cancers and tumors that you see actually going on, actually most of the time trigger from emotions that you either created early on in your life and you never worked on trying to solve those emotions. You just kind of, let's say, had a bad experience, you sort of had an emotional reaction to that, and you didn't necessarily talk it through with the individuals or whatever, you just kind of went on with your life. Well, that actually starts to create sort of energetic gunk that can build up in your electromagnetic field that can also impact your physical body. And not only that, what we've learned in past videos as well is that when that happens, or when that type of a situation happened with any of your ancestors, that can essentially start to create changes within the DNA. So you can recode your DNA with those sorts of emotional situations, and that can then be passed on down the line. So essentially, not only could you be carrying the kind of emotional gunk that you've built up in your life, but you could also be carrying the effects of the emotional gunk that was built up, let's say, from your ancestors. So if there's some sort of like physical disease or issue that tends to be passed down through the family line, that's a really good time to go in and start to understand what it is. And actually, you can start to work on healing that within yourself. And by doing so, you can actually heal your whole family line in the process. So when they talk about essentially healing, you have the ability to collapse timelines and to recode or change old experiences or parallel experiences. Now, when I say collapse timelines, so essentially, and this goes to past videos that I've done in the past, but essentially, we live in, a kind of a holographic construct, in which case every thought, feeling, and emotion can create a new potential timeline into the future. And so it's almost like a movie reel, and that's an analogy that I've used in the past. But with every now moment, you have the option to do lots of things in the next now moment. And those can create different kind of branches in your timeline. And so essentially, if you go down the path of working on healing, if you will, you can literally create a new branch. Let's say it's a situation where you're healing emotions due to a bad relationship with your parents or whatever. You kind of understand it, let go of it, and you work on healing through forgiveness. You can collapse a timeline by creating a new timeline, essentially. So that's basically what it references. But what he basically says is that healing process really starts by first understanding where you're triggered. So if you're triggered by something, there's likely healing that has to go on. And you may not even know what the root cause is. Oftentimes when I've gone through this experience, it could be something that's happened in past lives or in the ancestral line. And so it's not quite so obvious on the surface. But what I found is that through the process of meditation, as essentially I've been able to basically turn on some extra sensory perceptions through meditation. And the more and more you meditate, the more and more that process essentially happens. You might get glimpses into past life experiences or parallel life experiences that might have created a certain sort of trauma inside of your etheric blueprint of whatever life you were living out. And that could actually, just witnessing it is a form of healing it as well. So for if you've got some like major emotional reactions to things and you have no idea what's going on, that could be a potential root cause. So another thing that essentially he said is that, again, when you get triggered, it could be so easy to sort of shift the blame or deflect it to others in society. Let's say it's a politically charged hot topic or whatever. So it's so easy to kind of shift the blame to a certain group that's causing the issues. You see that play out a lot, unfortunately, with the Democrat-Republican kind of, fighting that's going on, essentially, in this kind of polarized set of energies. Or it could be, shifting it to somebody in your own personal, family unit. But that is the time that they're saying is essentially take ownership for that emotion. So if you're feeling that way, instead of immediately going to say, well, they're wrong or whatever, or just to essentially shift the blame for your feelings onto another being or entity, it's to take that moment to look within and assess the root cause. And by doing that, you could actually shift timelines. He goes on to say that blame and judgment is so easy to dish out. It's a lot harder to take self-accountability for your emotions and do the inner work. But when you do, you provide enormous self-love and service to others. So I think that paragraph is pretty, straightforward in its meaning. But the last sentence is pretty key, because when I first started going down the journey of, I guess you could say, starting to feel kind of lousy about what was going on in the world, and that's really what triggered me to start meditating, is that I said, well, I can't change everything that's going on in the world, but what I can do is go inside and work on healing myself and changing myself from within, so changing my own internal frequency. And so that's what caused me to go down this path. And one thing that I learned is that when you actually work on healing your own, let's say, emotional blockages, you're actually healing and changing the frequency, the energy frequency within your own being. And by doing so, you will have the ability to, provide a service of, raising your frequency. And then all of those who are around you, who might be physically located around you, will have the ability to start to resonate at that higher frequency. So by healing yourself, you have the ability to effectively help others in your sphere of influence, even if you're not working on, essentially talking to them about this experiences or the process that you're going through of self-healing. Just by being in their very presence, can have an energetic impact on them and their energetic field as well. So that's what's called the resonance effect. So this is another great video reminder, I guess you could say, or channeling reminder about the concept of and the importance of essentially healing and working on that. And if you haven't seen some of my past videos or you're new to this channel, I would highly, highly encourage you actually to go back to the beginning, because there's a lot of great fundamental concepts that Ascended Master Hilarion taught about just aspects of quantum mechanics and just different things like that, but did get into the concept of healing. And I'll include in the comments a couple of those videos. And I've also talked in the past about techniques that you can actually take to help with self-healing as well. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful, great rest of your day and your week, and I'll see you in future videos. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and the content resonates with you, I encourage you to sign up, because this would be the type of material that I share. Thanks very much. Bye.